As everybody knows by now, that the flooding in Texas was absolutely horrific. And of course, what do liberals and liberal networks do? Never let a good disaster go to waste. And CNN instantly comes out and starts playing politics and telling lies right out of the gate about Kristi Noem and FEMA's response.
So according to 4 officials inside FEMA, that federal response may not have been as fast as it might have been. They say that a new rule that any expenditure over $100,000 needed sign-off from Secretary Noem slowed the federal response. These sources tell us that FEMA's deployment of urban search and rescue teams, which are typically deployed in anticipation they might be needed, instead was delayed until Monday, 3 days after the flood. Now, a source also tells us that a request Texas made for FEMA aerial imagery to aid in the search was also delayed, waiting for Secretary Noem's approval. Now, additionally, multiple FEMA officials say that they were taken aback by the agency's relatively limited response in the immediate aftermath of the disaster. CNN has reached out to FEMA for comment. So far, no reply from the agency. However, a DHS spokeswoman more generally told CNN that FEMA is, in her words, quote, shifting from bloated DC-centric dead weight to a lean, deployable disaster force that empowers state actors to provide relief for their citizens.
Okay, so what you said at the end of your statement sounds like they were on the ball. They're turning into a lean disaster relief agency. Okay, that's great. But you started right out of the gate with the lie. 4 sources said that it may have been too slow. May have been. Okay, well, was it or wasn't it? May have been tells us absolutely nothing. All it tells me is that either you've gotten bad information, Anderson, or you're simply lying and playing politics like CNN loves to do. And amazingly, they simply cannot figure out why their network has hit rock bottom. And this is exactly why. Just like MSNBC. You know, everybody got tired of the constantly race baiting, the constant lying, the constant orange man bad, Cheeto, hate Trump. Everybody got tired of that, so they simply quit watching. And you would think after the absolute beating Donald Trump put on the Democrat Party and drinks on the House Harris, that CNN would have said, you know what, maybe we've been going down this wrong road all along. Maybe we should do, you know, let's not do partisan politics anymore. But they can't help themselves. And it's amazing to me, they never confirm any source. Sources say, a source says. Well, you know, I can say that about anything at all. A source told me that somebody inside of Apple was stealing secrets and selling to the Chinese. I don't have to prove anything because I can simply say, well, a source told me that. Well, who's the source? Well, I'm here to protect my source. I don't have to reveal my source. So in other words, I'm lying, just like CNN is lying. So now let's jump over and get the actual truth of what happened.
All right, joining us now, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Thank you for being here with us.
Absolutely.
It's just heartbreaking to hear these stories, and there has been a lot of back and forth about what the federal response was or wasn't. So I want to just come to you. Let's separate a little fact from fiction. There's this question about whether or not everything that passes through DHS that's a $100,000 contract or more has to be personally signed off on by you, because there are questions about whether that may have slowed things. Can you separate fact from fiction for us on that?
You know, that policy absolutely did not slow anything down. In fact, as soon as this flooding started early in the morning, I was on the phone with the lieutenant governor, with the governor, with the emergency responders that were there on the ground, and said, what do you need? And then got on a plane and headed there as soon as I possibly could. So I was there within hours. The Coast Guard had been immediately deployed as soon as we finished our phone calls. We also deployed our border protection, Coast Guard, or our CBP and our patrol folks with their BORTAC teams that are specially equipped and trained for these types of situations. And then FEMA has had over 700 individuals there helping to serve the community. So within hours they were there. You know, this memo and this criticism, I think, is all politics.
So instead of CNN doing what I would do if I was an investigative journalist, you know, if I had heard through multiple sources that I can't confirm, because when I call FEMA, nobody's calling me back. Well, probably because they don't want to, you know, comment on your lying. I would simply have gone to Texas and talked to the governor or the lieutenant governor. To me, that would have been the absolute best way to confirm my story. Or I would have just gone to Texas and said, hey, I see Kristi Noem. What do you know? She's here. But instead, they just take some story that they heard from some source that said it may or may not have been as quick as it should have been. So you can tell straight from there, there's no truth to what they're saying whatsoever. And CNN, once again, is playing partisan politics, and they're taking the side. Anything to make Donald Trump look bad, that's always the road CNN is going to take.